Welcome to a special edition of Cybersecurity Accelerator Podcast. I got my main man, Junaid Mohammed. He's been our lead cybersecurity instructor here at Chattahoochee Tech for the past 2 years, right?
Yep, it's been about over 3 years actually. Had a 3-year anniversary recently.
What's up, man?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, bro. I never got a chance to just ask you, like, what was it like being one of my students? Because what class did you take?
I took 1601, Intro to Security Fundamentals, yeah.
How was that?
It was, well, first, it was a great class, wonderful teacher, obviously. Again, one thing I do enjoy about you versus my other teachers I've had here is that a little bit younger, we can talk a little bit more, same level. But more than anything, it was the ability to talk about more recent technologies.
Oh, really?
In your class, I feel like we talk more about, the usual CIA triad, the usual OSI 7 layers, but we also apply that to like real world aspects as well. So I think one of your projects, we were a security firm for like a law company. And that, it was confusing at first, but then I realized, in the working world, when we're working with other industries and other companies, we'll have to generate these reports about what kind of devices they need, what level of security do they need for the type of industry they are. Like if they're a credit card industry, PCI, or if they're a medical industry, they have to deal with something with HIPAA. But yeah, there's a lot more of that real world aspect in your class, which I enjoyed.
It's interesting you say that. A lot of students, and I'm working with a lot of younger students now too, high school, and they'll be like, you know what, the projects that we did were, they looked hard at first, but as we started to dive into it, it made more sense because it's hands-on. So you're saying that a lot of your other classes, you guys didn't get to do a lot of more hands-on stuff?
Well, the hands-on approach definitely was there. I'll give my teachers definitely had that, always had at least some project of some sort, but the hands-on approach being applied to real-world scenarios, I guess. Because I feel like a lot of my project work has been these filtered scenarios, highly constructed, but your projects are much more open-ended, so we can explore more the real applications, other technologies that aren't in the book.
Well, what stood out to you in that class? Because I'm assuming that's one of your first cybersecurity classes you took here, right?
Definitely one of the first, definitely my first one. 1601 was the first class I took, and for me, it was all of it when it came to cyber. I really genuinely did not know anything about what security looked like until that class. So the most appealing aspect for me was all the various softwares that existed. The things that made our lives easier. Because as a student, I didn't know a lot, so knowing that there were tools available to help me were very helpful. One of the, we talked about AWS and Azure a lot, and that really got me started looking at AWS. So currently I do have my AWS Certified Cloud Practitioner. Very simple certification, and honestly I suggest anybody to take it because 90 questions, $100, pretty cheap, But this class basically pushed me towards that cloud technology, so I've been very much more comfortable with AWS EC2 environments, S3 environments, exploring that, making my own projects.
So why did you enroll at Chatt Tech and decide to do our cybersecurity program?
Well, one, I'm not a good business major, that's for sure. I was not doing well with what I was doing before, and I figured, hey, I should do something I somewhat enjoy. So I always liked computers. My dad, he's already a database administrator, so computers seemed like the next logical step, one. But it was hard to pick between networking and cybersecurity.
Gotcha.
That was my big, which one do I pick? And while I think networking is great, especially if you want to get an associate's and a job right after that, because most of the students who get jobs after the associates, I feel like were more the networking students, right?
Definitely.
Especially with that CompTIA certification. But what's appealing about cyber is its applications to the broader world. Because yes, networking is important and there is cloud networking, but cyber encompasses every aspect of technology in a certain way. Cyber, you have virtualized hardware, you have virtualized software, you have virtualized networking, you have virtualized security. So I feel like cybersecurity was a pick that showed me every aspect of technology rather than just one focus aspect.
Well, because I'm similar, bro. Like, that's what kind of let me into cybersecurity myself. I I was always someone in the family who dealt with the computers. They needed me to set up the networking. And like you said, I thought I needed to get into networking too. One of the first certifications I studied for was Network Plus. But as I started to navigate into the field, I realized that I don't want to get my hands dirty with the cables and setting up the infrastructure.
Exactly.
And we talked about this earlier, like you kind of more like the cloud. You don't want to be in a server room. So that's what led me into doing Security Plus, and what led me, as I started to get into my program, resonate more with information security. So I would say I knew cyber was for me, but I didn't know where I wanted to go in cyber.
Exactly.
So, like, as you're going through the program here, how long did it take you to realize that, A, you liked cybersecurity, and two, as you touched on earlier, you wanted to get more into, like, the cloud? When did you start to realize that AWS was the route you wanted to go?
Well, first and foremost, when it came to, like, AWS specifically, advertising, they got me. Truthfully, I could have chosen Azure and gone down the same path, but specifically why I went for AWS was just because it was thrown at me. Generally, you can't go wrong with any of the major cloud platforms, especially Google's, Microsoft's, or Amazon's. But what made me want to go into that path in the first place, or when I figured that out, was one, your class, of course, definitely helped me out a lot with where I wanted to be. And second was my father, truthfully, because I'm lucky to have that extra pair of eyes on the field who already know what's going on. And my dad kept on harping on the fact that everything was moving to the cloud.
Definitely.
And what does that mean? What does the cloud mean? That got the gears turning, slowly started realizing the cloud is just a physical server that exists out there somewhere. And you don't have to own that hardware whatsoever, and you can interact with it. And the interaction aspect is what was really interesting, because I could do a lot of cool stuff for free. I could build my own website and post it on the internet that people could go to for $0 on Amazon, truthfully. I can interact with different AI agents using different free software that I can also put into AWS. Like, there's so many projects that I can do without any limit because of cloud computing, and I really like that aspect of it, that it gives freedom to a lot of different people and a lot of different tools and companies.
What, because I know we did some labs in 1601. Was there any labs in that class or another class that you got exposure to AWS, or was it more so when you got into Dr. Cleo's classes?
It would definitely be Dr. Cleo's classes, because the AWS is a specialty, right? It is part of the cybersecurity degree here. So you can put between AWS, networking, Microsoft.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different options, but AWS was appealing, and that's when I started getting into it. I think AWS Cloud Development and Cloud Applications were the first two classes.
Gotcha. And I know I'm kind of moving ahead, but you decided to host an AWS certification class.
Mm-hmm.
So when did you realize that you, A, wanted to take the AWS Cloud Practitioner exam, and two, what led you to host a class to teach students that material?
For the certification first. Throughout my education, I've been seeing that while a degree is wonderful, it is awesome to have that 2-4-year degree in hand. A lot of companies want more than that these days. And these certifications, they're looking for it. So that, out of necessity more than anything, is why I pursued at least one certification. And I'm a nervous test taker myself. I understand that. I get everything when I'm there, but when I'm taking the test, head empty. So I thought I would want to do something that was a little bit easier. The AWS exam, the very basic one, all multiple choice.
Okay.
No free response. And again, I'm not saying that it's not difficult, because you gotta study, you gotta take your time to do that stuff, but knowing that it's all multiple choice, knowing that it's cheap and I could retake it again if I wanted to, gave me some level of comfort to take that exam.
And you passed it on the first attempt?
First attempt, I did pass it. I believe I did like 80th percentile. So it could have gone either way, essentially.
Yeah.
I studied, I prepared well for it, and I did good. That's why I passed it. But as for other certifications, or what the next step is, the next step would be taking the AWS networking certification. That has some free response. That's making me a little bit nervous. But because I got that first certification, it's allowing me to have that confidence to go to the next one.
Was it interactive questions about AWS on there, or is it just all multiple choice?
All multiple choice, but I get the question types, especially with this overarching basic certification, it's really just asking about AWS software or applications that they have. So it's going to ask you different stuff about S3 buckets. It's going to ask you different ways you can implement EC2 instances. It'll even ask you about what's the cheapest way of putting those instances. Is it reserved instances? Is it batch instances? Blase, blase. There's so much going on with it, but I think my biggest suggestion for people who want to take that exam, go onto like Coursera or one of those course platforms and buy an AWS certification course. Again, nobody wants to spend money. It's not.
We both know you got to.
But you can find some deep discounts on these sites. I think I got 36 hours of learning material and 3 tests for $20.
Can't beat that.
Can't beat that. Genuinely can't beat that. And genuinely, a lot of students have that, I don't want to spend money, I can study it myself. You can. YouTube exists, but that's a lot of work. It is.
Man, because it's interesting you saying that, because I did AZ900. So basically the same thing that you did, but with Microsoft. And I know I passed it on the first attempt too. I did Cloud Academy.
Yeah, they were really good. They were really good.
But the school paid for it. Hey, I know some of the questions on there, I think I told you this, but getting an account on some of these cloud sites, like they let you sign up for like a year, you get free access to certain stuff.
Yeah.
And just practicing on there goes a long way. So that's what we had to do when I was studying for the AZ900. And just like you, I thought I wanted to, like on the side from teaching, I wanted to go into the cloud because that's where we're moving. So that's cool. I would say, so you got the certification, and then I know you approached me with an idea to teach a class, or lead a class while you're, here. How did that come about?
First off, the students that would come in for tutoring learning anything new is hard. That's a matter of fact. Learning something completely new that you don't even understand whatsoever is extremely difficult. Some students come into this program not even knowing how to use their computer properly.
Tell me about it.
And that's not a slight to the students, it's just how the world works. Some students have more skills than others, so it's hard to balance who knows what. And I found that gap of knowledge to be a big problem. So I thought that it would be a good idea to, sponsor some classes where we could just talk about the basics, not even AWS, but how to take the AWS exam itself.
How did those classes turn out for you?
The very first the very first one, we had a couple of students that came in, they answered some questions, they thought it was great. A lack of interest is always a problem anybody's going to deal with, and maybe I could have done more to garner some interest for that. But the biggest difficulty I found was finding a way that all students could access the class at the same time. Now that I have some retrospect, I feel like a better way would have done it is to maybe like make a folder in Teams and post the videos there, just to make it easier.
Instead of like hosting it live and having them come in and stuff like that?
Hosting it live would always be better because then they could ask questions, and even if I didn't know, they could work through the answer together. The only issue with posting it like that in a video format is that interactiveness is not there, and I feel like students really appreciate that.
And you said something key earlier, like you said the interest level.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna get into a question on why you became a tutor in the first place, but like when you're interacting with the students, can you tell that they're really into cyber?
That's a great point, actually. I really never thought about that, but I guess some students are, and those students that are, they do better on their labs, they're more engaged because they like the material. Some students, for a lack of better words, are exasperated. They want to get through this degree, and I completely understand that sentiment. This isn't the type of degree you get into just because you want to make money, because staring at a computer screen for the rest of your life is going to be draining. And unless you like that activity, maybe it ain't for you. That's completely fine, but there's that to consider.
What are some signs that you can tell in a student that you like, man, I don't really think they like cyber?
For one, the students that find hardware stuff more interesting, I always tell them to look at the networking program first, because one, we need more networking guys, and two, some students don't like the screen stuff. Some students love computers, love hardware, they just don't like interacting with the computer, like building it. They like managing the connections that go with it. I say the biggest thing for students, if you don't like cyber, Linux. If you don't like Linux, maybe cyber ain't for you, truthfully. Because the students who struggle with the Linux labs, and again, I don't remember
those are the hardest labs.
Yeah, they're hard labs, but unless you can get through them, I really feel like cyber is not an option. Or cyber might not be the best option. There's 2 students specifically who I think dropped cyber just because of Linux. And I don't know if that's a good or bad decision. That's their decision to make, but Linux is a big part of cybersecurity, part of all platforms. And unless you're comfortable using that language, I don't think this might be the degree path for you.
Man, that's a good call because the operating system aspect of cyber, I think people are just familiar with Windows and Mac because they have these Apple devices, but a lot of students aren't adept with Linux. And again, coding is a part of this as well, and going onto the terminal and doing commands, that's where the students struggle the most. At least in the 1601 class, I see if students like those labs, then those are the ones that go further in cyber.
Exactly. I think Linux-wise, it's easier than ever especially for new people who are still deciding if they like cybersecurity. It's easier than ever to download Linux to a device.
Oh, for sure.
Especially a Linux OS. It used to be that they didn't have an operating system that was easy for users to use. That's not the case anymore. There's so many different distributions. I like Mint myself. But if you really want to test out Linux yourself, in AWS, you could put a Linux OS on an AWS
virtual
C2
machine
instance and see if you like it. It might cost a couple of cents here and there, but hey, a couple of cents versus 2 years might be good.
So, bro, I don't believe I was in charge of the tutoring when you was actually got on. I took over from Charles maybe about a year or so later. What kind of caused your interest in tutoring? Was it, I mean, let's be honest, I know you probably wanted some extra side money at the time, but
money, of course.
Just from knowing you have like a real passion for helping and educating the students. Did you have that passion at the time you applied for the job, or what kind of led you to the tutoring position?
I mean, this is more like me, but I just find I think we should live in service of each other.
For sure.
I feel like helping out each other in our times of need is a nice thing to do, you know? When somebody's not doing too hot, help them out a little bit. And that's what I like about teaching, is that so many students will come in here, you know, hands on their head, like, I hate this stuff, it's the worst, I just want to get through this lab. And me being able to like explain first what everything means in a way that they understand, and then them being able to complete that lab, it's fulfilling in a way. I do enjoy it. It's fun to do, especially seeing somebody learn something is awesome. You know, like being like, oh, I get this now. And if my students get to be smarter than me, that would be so cool, you know? Like knowledge is awesome. That's all I gotta say. That's why I like teaching.
And you was a current student here while you was tutoring as well, so you kind of got to help them along with the struggles you might have had.
Yeah, one of the students, he came in every single day for tutoring for an AWS class. We were working hard through it.
It wasn't Alex, was it?
It was Alex.
Oh man, Alex, man. Yeah, bro. So, okay, when you graduated from here with your associates, did you know what you wanted to do in cyber? Because I know you're currently enrolled at Kennesaw. What kind of led you to go pursue your bachelor's? So
from the I don't know if this was at the beginning, but my bachelor's is in IT. I am not doing I'm not doing my associates for my bachelor's, and that might be kind of odd because I still do want to do cybersecurity in the future. But the reason I chose a bachelor's in IT over cyber was because an associate's is a very hyper-focused type of degree. It's 2 years, it focuses on one thing, and it's usually a job-ready skill. Unfortunately, I don't believe a cyber security associate is enough to get the type of job that you would want.
No.
That's why, again, people who are saying they want a job right out of their associates, I say networking, I find more work there. The reason I went to KSU was I feel like you need a bachelor's or at least some level of higher degree in cybersecurity in order to really make it out in that world. And maybe not a bachelor's specifically, but a higher level certification for sure. Because the associates, it's a foot in your door, it shows that you know things. The bachelor demonstrates, and what I'm seeing more from my KSU degree versus here, while the labs here were very technical and great, they didn't give me a lot of context in the real world as to why this mattered, where this should be applied, or and how this should be applied. KSU basically gave me the background for all the advanced techniques I learned in my associates. Especially that IT degree, I got to see those hardware classes that I hated. Again, I'm not a big hardware guy, but really getting in there and understanding certain aspects help you visualize like a network. Especially when you're trying to visualize a virtual network, it's kind of easier to visualize a real network first and then go virtual with it.
So y'all actually are working with the hardware in person?
Depends on the class. Again, I only had to take one hardware class. Again, thank God I'm not a hardware guy. It depends on your degree path, but there are a lot of labs at KSU and clubs that deal with the hardware aspect. I think they have a club that builds computers, a club for AI, a club for cybersecurity and IT. So depending on how you want to spend your time in the college, you could really get into the nitty-gritty of a computer if you really wanted to.
And what was the class you was telling me that you was just like having a hard time with? Was it the coding class?
Calculus one,
okay.
Obviously. But there also, yes, my first Python class.
Woo.
Coding's important. Coding's great. If I didn't have to code for the rest of my life, I would be happy.
Man.
But that's not how it works. And Python is a very easier language to learn than, of course, the machine language. Many people might suggest to start with Java. I'm not going to say that they're wrong by any means, but I found Python difficult but easy to understand.
Man, Python, that was my first language I had to do at Kennesaw State. We did like a Caesar cipher.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So then, okay, you came here first for your your associates, and then you went to KSU for your IT and your bachelor's. How do you feel at this current moment? Let's just group cyber and IT, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a professional trying to enter the field, do you feel like this is still the right choice for you? Do you feel like you need to develop more skills? How are you feeling post your graduation?
I should get some more certifications for sure. Not even for the fact that I like, oh, businesses need this. I just feel like it'll make me more comfortable approaching different businesses. Be like, oh, I know how to use these types of softwares. I'm nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I am nervous going out into a professional world with just a bachelor's, an associate's, and one certification. It seems like I did a lot, but at the same time, I feel like I haven't done enough yet. But that seems like a problem with everybody in any type of field when they're trying to get their first job. More than anything, I really wish more that I participated in hackathons and club aspects of the college life more. Classes have been great. Networking and socializing with other people in the same field is extremely important right now. A lot of people are scared about job markets and stuff like that. AI, people are scared about, but things have always been changing in technology, and I feel like we just got to put our head first and try.
Man, that's crazy you say that. I just was mentioning that to a student. Like, what I wish I had done at Kennesaw was attend more events on campus. I only did one hackathon, but again, you start to go to some of these events and meet like-minded people. They might be struggling with the same thing. You can get their contact information. They might be studying for AWS like yourself. You just never know.
Especially like just new people know different things.
Exactly.
Like some of the friends I've made at KSU have showed me different software, freeware that I can use for my projects that I wouldn't have known unless I started talking to them. And back to why I started being a tutor. Just tell your friends stuff. Like new stuff that you've learned about technology, especially if they're in the same field as you. Communicate more because there's so many new things these days, especially with the advent of AI, so many new tools. And while there can be a moral argument for AI and its uses, it's not leaving anytime soon. So maybe it's better to start understanding.
Man, I appreciate everything you provided to us so far. I was going to say, before we wrap up, because a lot of nowadays I'm starting to see students get into the program because their parents are making it.
Yeah.
So again, just knowing what you know and you dealing with certain students, because you deal with not just like younger students, you deal with older students as well. What is some advice you can give to someone pursuing cybersecurity at this particular state right now?
Don't get this degree just because you think it sounds cool. Or if like a parent's listening, don't try to force your kid into it just because it sounds a little bit cooler than something else. There's a lot of work in the technology field. And there's a lot of different places where that work is needed. And some students genuinely do better in the networking side of things. Some students do better in the cyber side of things. I feel like the first year, at least specifically at Chattahoochee, is for understanding the field and what you like. So students, think about what parts of the classes that you've enjoyed, depending on whatever classes you take it. Parents, ask your kids what they've liked so far. Again, I know communication's hard, like this generation, blah, blah, blah. Nobody wants to be like that. Communication's key. You gotta talk it out, see what you enjoy. Because if you enjoy something, naturally, you're gonna wanna do it more.
Man, I appreciate you, bro.
I appreciate you.
If you had Kennesaw tapped in with Junaid, man, he's about to graduate. I'm so proud of him. But yeah, again, this was another episode of the Cybersecurity Accelerator podcast. Is cyber right for you? Put in the comments, how do you feel about the current field? Do you like it? Do you not? Based on what you heard so far. All right, appreciate you all.
Have a good day.